Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's talk about the potential build for Hirugami. But before moving into it, we have a new gift code right now. It gives you 5 memory tickets. And the gift code is available until November 30th, 2025. Okay, I want to pull for Hirugami first on my F2P account because I don't plan to get him on my main account. However, since the diamonds on this account are limited, I can only hope to get lucky. With the current resources and the event rewards that can be claimed today, I should be able to do around 60 pulls in total. Let's give it a try.
大丈夫だよ。正直勝てる相手じゃないし。大丈夫だよ。はい。大丈夫だよ。正直勝てる相手じゃないし。大丈夫だよ。大丈夫だよ。はい。はい。正直勝てる相手じゃないし。勝とうとしなきゃ勝てない。よな。本気も必死も一生懸命も。気合い気合い。ほんなら俺のサーブであの二口が後輩に手を焼いてる。落ちた後は登る以外に道はなし。大丈夫だよ。大丈夫だ。正直勝てる相手じゃないし。大丈夫だよ。
Okay, no surprise, we couldn't get Hirugami this time on this account. Now, let's continue with the potential build discussion. Hirugami is one of the middle blockers who excels at serving. Not only is his serve power increased, but it also has an effect that can disrupt the opponent. When his serve becomes a critical serve, the opponent is forced out of Team Morale Awakening and cannot gain morale for the next one turn. This is not a skill that reduces the opponent's power directly, but it limits the effect of Morale Awakening, which normally increases all opponent team members' stats by 20%. Therefore, teams that heavily rely on team morale, such as Fukurodani, will be greatly affected. However, to trigger this effect, the serve needs to become a critical serve. To increase the chance of a critical serve, we need to raise the awareness stat. The main awareness stat can be obtained in slot 2, which is the slot normally used for attack stats. So, the first main stat you need to aim for is awareness in slot 2 if you want a higher chance to trigger the effect that disrupts the opponent's morale awakening. But, if you prefer to focus on getting higher serve power instead of going for that effect, you can choose serve power as the main stat in that slot too. Next, since he is also a pure middle blocker who currently has very strong blocking ability, the best main stat to use in slot 4 is block. No choosing reflex or spirit or other stats that generate critical defensive actions here because none of his skills depend on critical actions. Reflex is the stat that increases the critical rate for defensive aspects such as block, receive, and save, while Spirit is the stat that increases critical power when a critical rate is triggered. However, you can still use them as alternatives if your teammates need critical defensive actions, such as when paired with Sakusa. Therefore, for slot 4, the main stat you should use is block, and reflex or spirit can be used as alternatives. Next, in slot 6, since this slot can be used for both offensive and defensive aspects, we will choose the defensive one. Similar to before, we can select block as the main stat, but defense technique can also be used because it increases the power of all defensive attributes, including block, receive, and save. So, for this slot, you can use either block or defense technique as the main stat. Now, let's talk about the potential set. If we look at the potential recommendation, there is only one. Block movement potential. Its effects are: 2 set increases block stat by 15%, and 4 set increases the block's power by 20% of the block stat when blocking a spike with other block type players present in the front row. Actually, there are 2 types of block potentials that could be used, but the recommended one here is block movement. However, the effect of precise block potential actually relates more closely to his ultimate skill, which increases block power by 20% when blocking against power spike type opponents. This means the effect could be stronger if using precise block potential. The thing to consider here is the trigger condition. The effect of the precise block potential is harder to trigger because it depends on the opponent's spiker type. On the other hand, block movement potential is much easier to activate because it only requires the presence of other block type players in the front row. Especially since Korai, his teammate, is also a block type player and often paired with him, it becomes even easier to trigger the effect. That means whether the opponent is a power spike type or quick attack type spiker, this potential effect will still be active. So, Hirugami can benefit from this effect no matter who the opponent is. Alright, that is the best potential build for Hirugami. As a summary, the potential recommendation for Hirugami is block movement because its effect is easy to trigger. The main stats you should choose in slot 2 is awareness, or serve. Slot 4 is block, reflex, or spirit, and slot 6 is block or defense technique. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.